Heroes come in all shapes and sizes, and in some cases they're under 4 feet tall. In this video, I'll be sharing 3 incredible true stories of children that saved the day. What's going on, guys? If you're in the mood for some unbelievable true stories, then you're in the right place. My name's Derek, and on this channel I share all kinds of crazy stories that are 100% true. So if that sounds interesting to you, don't just join me today. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, and join me each week for new stories. With that done, let's get into the good stuff with today's stories. Riley Braden was 5 years old and loved getting in the pool like most young children do. Even though she was only 5 years old, she was a really good swimmer. She had taken swimming lessons since she was 2 and felt very confident in the water. One day she was swimming in a hotel pool and a neighbor was there with her. Riley was having fun swimming in the shallow end when she saw a young toddler slowly stumble over to the pool stairs that were near her. There were a few adults right there at the pool, so Riley figured one of them was the parent of the young child and was watching them. Riley turned away to swim to the other side of the pool when all of a sudden she heard a kerplunk sound like something falling in the water. Riley quickly turned around to see what the sound was and realized that the little girl had fallen in the pool. Riley first thought that maybe she should shout to get the attention of one of the adults there, but she realized that she needed to act quickly. The pool had no lifeguard, and the young girl's parents were over by the side of the pool lounging on some chairs. No one had seen her fall in and go below the surface. Riley quickly dove down 3 feet and was able to grab the child from the bottom of the pool. This all happened in a matter of seconds, and no one else there had any idea what was going on. When Riley broke the surface with the little girl, she shouted, "I've got the baby! I've got the baby!" It was then that everyone realized that something just happened. The young girl's parents realized that the baby Riley was shouting about was their little girl. They jumped out of their chairs and came running over. She was coughing and crying, but the good news was she was fine. She had only been under the water for a short time thanks to Riley's quick action. Had Riley not been paying attention, the outcome could have been tragic. The girl's parents thanked Riley and then left the pool area. She never saw them again, but was glad that she had been put in a position to help and likely save a life. For her heroic act, she received the Girl Scouts Life-Saving Award. In a special ceremony, she also received a golden key to the city. When she was asked what she wants to be when she's older, her response was, you guessed it, a lifeguard. Angelica was 5 years old and living with her father Ken in Tulsa, Oklahoma. One evening they were watching a movie together and ended up falling asleep on the couch. At 2 in the morning, Ken woke up because his dogs were barking and going crazy. One of the first things he noticed after waking up was the strong smell of smoke. He followed the smell and it led him to one of the back rooms in the home. He pulled the door open and there was a backdraft of fire that came in the doorway. He quickly closed the door and made his way to the living room as fast as he could to wake up his daughter Angelica. He shouted and yelled that they needed to hurry and get out of the house. Angelica woke up a bit frazzled because of everything that was going on, but at 5 years old she was able to quickly remember some of the important things she had just learned in kindergarten. With smoke filling the entire house, Angelica got on the floor and began crawling. She was terrified, but she moved towards the front door as fast as she could until she was able to make it out of the house. Once she was out, she ran over to a neighbor's house and the neighbor called 911. Within a few minutes, the fire department arrived and Angelica told them that she didn't see her dad leave the house and she thought he might still be in there. Well, Angelica was right. Ken was still in the house. He had left around the same time as Angelica, but then he grabbed a flashlight from his truck and went back into the house. He went back in to look for his friend's 5-year-old daughter who had been staying with them. The smoke and the panic he was feeling made him confused, and he had forgotten that the little girl's mother had picked her up earlier that day. The firefighters entered the home and found Ken unconscious on the living room floor. They picked him up and carried him out of the house. And right after they did that, the entire backside of the house completely went up in flames. Ken was in the hospital for the next week, but he was lucky to be alive. He had small burns to his body and also had smoke inhalation, but he made a complete recovery. If Angelica hadn't run over to a neighbor's house so 911 could be called, her father likely would have been killed by the fire. An investigation concluded that the cause of the fire was faulty wiring in the ceiling. Jaylynn Emmett was a young mother of 2 young children, Tegan, who was 5, and Lincoln, who was 15 months. She was also pregnant, so needless to say, her hands were full. Jaylynn's husband was completing basic training for the Army Reserve and was stationed hundreds of miles away, so for the time being, she was home alone with her children. One day, after she got off the phone with her husband, her heart began racing. This was something she experienced before because she had a heart rhythm disorder. When this would happen before, she would start doing deep breathing techniques that would help. However, this time it was different. It was a lot more intense and the deep breathing techniques weren't working. She knew she needed help, so she hurried and called her parents who lived close by. No one answered the phone, so she hurried and called 911. Next thing she knew, she woke up in an ambulance and was heading for the hospital. She was trying to figure out what was going on. She remembered dialing 911, but that was it. She didn't remember actually talking to anyone. One of the paramedics told her that once she had passed out on the floor, her 5-year-old son Tegan picked up the phone. Very calmly, he told the operator that his mom had just died. The operator asked him a few questions, like what his name was, and he replied that he was Spider-Man and Peter Parker. He had been taught not to give his name to strangers, so he was just doing what he was told to do. The operator stayed on the phone with Tegan and sent the ambulance to the residence. The issue was that the family had just moved to a different subdivision that was down the road. The ambulance went to the previous address and realized that they no longer lived there. They didn't know the new address, but fortunately Tegan was still on the line, and even though he was only 5, he could help. The operator told him to open the front door and turn on and off the porch light until the ambulance found the house. It worked, and the ambulance pulled up. But Tegan wasn't done helping yet. With all of the commotion going on, he realized that his 15-month-old brother Lincoln had wandered outside of the home. At some point, he had made his way out the open front door. Tegan told a police officer that had just arrived at the house that his little brother had left and was missing. Luckily, he was found in a neighbor's backyard playing with a puppy. Everyone that day was amazed at how well Tegan handled everything. And not only did he help save his mom that day, but he also helped make sure that nothing bad happened to his little brother. Tegan's mom made a full recovery, and to this day, she still calls him her little superhero. Well guys, that will do it for today's Little Heroes. Thanks again for joining me, and if you'd like to join me for more stories like this, make sure you subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up and share it with someone you know. Also, if you have a story suggestion for a future video, drop it down in the comments. Have fun, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.